Hey folks, this is Laura Andrews, your instructor for Drawing 1. I'm going to talk about the materials for our class and how to do some gesture drawing drills. First of all, there is a list of materials linked in D2L and at the end of the syllabus. I'm going to go through them. Many of these materials would come in the kit if you buy it from the bookstore. So first of all, an 18 by 24 pad of paper. You're going to want a large scale pad of drawing paper. If you're buying it on your own, test the paper, see how it feels before you purchase it. You'll also want to get a sketchbook. Small one is fine. I think it says 9 by 12 in the list, but you don't need to do that. Any size will work. The bookstore kit comes with some pastel paper. You don't necessarily need this. It's an optional supply. If you get the kit, you'll get some. If not, don't worry about it. In addition, you'll want an array of drawing pencils. If you're on a budget, a 2B is just fine. Otherwise, if you get the kit or you're buying your supplies, you can get a range of hardnesses and softnesses. HB is probably the hardest one you'll find. 2B is softer. 4B is even softer. 5B is even softer. So as the number gets bigger with a B, it's a softer and usually darker pencil. And an ebony pencil is an even softer type of pencil. And in fact, if you get higher numbers of H's, those are even harder pencils. So think H for hard, B for black. A higher number in B is going to be a darker graphite. You're also going to want some charcoal. If you buy the kit, you will get some compressed charcoal that is in a set of pastels. You could also buy compressed charcoal or what's called vine or willow charcoal, which is actually made of vines or willow branches. Vine or willow is a really soft, correctable type of charcoal, and compressed charcoal is compressed carbon particles, so it's usually very dense and it's been mechanically compressed. So you'll get a very dark, kind of velvety type of mark. And I'd have a few sticks of each is plenty. Erasers. If you buy the kit, you'll get an eraser or two. If not, you may be buying your own. This is actually what's called a kneaded eraser. It's almost like silly putty. You can knead it up into whatever shape you want to erase. I've also got just an old, standard pink pearl and a white nylon eraser. So they all erase a little bit differently. That's a personal taste thing. Other things that will come in the kit, or you might need a glue stick, a ruler. I think there's a plastic ruler in the kit, a snap blade knife, kind of like an X-Acto blade. Ink. I like Higgins. Waterproof ink is great because then you can paint or do a wash over it. This is actually a pen holder and a set of nibs. I think on the list it says you could also buy a bamboo pen. That's fine. And you'll want to experiment with your materials when you get them. Just take them for a spin. That nib is a steel nib, so you'll want to kind of have the dome arc downwards so it flows the ink to the tip. And when you're done with your pen or anything you use ink with, do be sure to wash it because that ink has resin in it, will plug up your pen. Brushes. The kit will come with a brush, but if you're buying your own, you can pick either like a watercolor brush like this, a round one is great, or a sumi brush, which has a bamboo handle, natural fibers, is intended for brush painting. A roll of tape is helpful. It will come in the kit, or you could just use painter's tape. The kit also comes with what's called a blending stump, the thing that looks like a cigarette. You can also make your own just out of paper towels, and other things that people find helpful, Sharpies or other kinds of pens. You can certainly supplement. Drawing drills. This is what we're doing this week. You're going to be doing 3 different drawing drills. They're just ways of practicing different approaches or techniques. Things you're going to need paper, some kind of soft pencil, 2 objects that are interesting that you want to draw, and something that is cylindrical, so like a bottle, a cup, something like that. The thing to do is set a timer for 2 minutes on your phone, or just use an egg timer or kitchen timer, and stop when you get to that 2-minute mark. But likewise, do be sure you draw the whole 2 minutes. So it's almost like a meditative approach. You're giving yourself time in your day to just draw. For those minutes that you're timing the drills, your only focus is on making marks. We're going to be doing gesture drawing, and gesture drawing is like it sounds, it's gestural, meaning like I would gesture with my hand. So you're moving your arm or your hands. Notice how I'm kind of using my arm to move my hand around quite a bit. That may be new. You want to practice kind of how you hold the pencil. I'm holding it like I write, but some people like to hold it and shift it around in your hand a little bit. It's up to you what feels comfortable to you. Gesture drawing is also characterized by multiple loose lines. Gradually, as you're building up lines or building them denser, you're kind of finding your edges. So it's almost an exploratory way of drawing. Think of it as general to specific. I'm starting out kind of exploring or finding that general shape and then getting more specific as I go. Now I'm going to move to another object. It's like a little fake bone made of plastic. And, position your object however you want, and then just dive in. And again, multiple lines. You're not erasing. The goal isn't to make like a perfect photorealistic replica. It's more to kind of allow yourself to explore with your eye and your hand the object that you're looking at. So it's a technique or an exercise that's intended to kind of bond your hand and arm and your eye together. So they're starting to work in concert with each other. And I'm just kind of exploring the different contours or form of the bone. As I'm seeing edges that are sharper or harder, I'm making those marks darker. And as I'm seeing things that I want to kind of build up or correct, I'm correcting them. Lastly, you'll want to do one object that's a cylinder. So something that's cylindrical that has a circle on the end, and that's what we're going to be studying, ellipses, which is a circle in perspective or seen at an angle. So there are so many circles in the world, and we're going to be studying them for a few weeks. So I picked an old candle that was laying around, and I'm starting out with my arm is doing a lot of the work here, so picking up your arm is key for gesture, and I'm just kind of following that circular form. It's almost easier to get a curve on each end so it doesn't end up looking like a football by just flowing your arm as you go. And then something to consider, a cylinder is bilaterally symmetrical like a butterfly. If I subdivide it, one half should be roughly the same as the other. This can help you start correcting proportions. I know when I first started drawing, I would have a hard time with the bottom right of things simply because that's where my arm's attached to my body. We're also going to be comparing the minor axis to the major axis. So the minor axis is where I could subdivide the ellipse or the circle that's at the top of the cylinder in half the short way or the long way. And comparing how wide does the minor axis look to my eye, from one direction versus how wide the major axis is. So for me, I'm seeing it at a different angle than the camera. I got almost 3 minor axes across, to the major axis, meaning my major axis was 3 times as wide. Now, from the angle of the camera, I'm going to do another drawing here that's like a little closer to probably what the camera's eye sees. But again, that minor axis, and I would even label these things because it just helps to kind of start getting in the habit of doing it. The minor axis is the short axis, the major axis is the wide axis, and do keep in mind your minor axis is always in line with the axis of the entire cylinder, which I found is very helpful if you're ever drawing a tiger. Here I'm drawing it and trying to kind of capture more of it's still a little off, but more of the angle that you're seeing from the camera's eye where that minor axis is bigger. The main thing is have fun with your drawings. This is the first week, so relax, allow yourself to just focus on making lines, trying gesture, picking up your arm, building lines lighter or darker. When you're done with your drills, you're going to take pictures of them and upload the JPEG-C assignment folder in D2L. Email me if you have questions. Don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect because we're just practicing. And have a great week.